Hello world! Welcome back to the channel, and to year 2 of my tier ranking of everything I drew this year. Well, almost everything. We'll get to that in a second. So I planned on Christmas being my cutoff day in terms of making art for this year, but even afterwards I still kept wanting to draw at least one little extra thing just to see if I could, and every time I had to keep telling myself, no, you need to use that time to work on the video and get it up on YouTube. In 2024, there were 62 illustrations that were part of my ranking, and for 2025 I wanted to see if I could surpass that amount. And tallying up the numbers, I was able to put out 92 illustrations this year.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Especially considering this total doesn't include comic pages, personal art, animations, or art that I didn't upload on my primary art account, because I do have a Tumblr side blog on which I post specific fandom art that doesn't get shared anywhere else. I'm really impressed by how much I was able to get done. Which brings me to my next point. Even though 2025 was the year I took my bi-weekly webcomic This Is a Thing That Happened off its year-long hiatus, and finally made my original manga debut with my short story one-shot 𝚘𝚘𝚎, I won't be including any comic pages in my ranking, just to make things easier on myself. Am I supposed to rank them by panel, or by the page itself? Or how that specific page interacts with the other pages of the story or chapter? I don't know, maybe in the future I can work on a separate video dedicated exclusively to comic pages, since I do want to continue making more manga. But for now, we have 92 pieces of art to look at, and I'm honestly not sure if I can get a record any higher than that. But anyway, yeah, we've got a lot of things to talk about here, so let's get to it. Starting with my 𝚘𝚐𝚎 piece that I drew for Strawberry Day in January. The thing that stands out to me the most about this piece is how quickly I was able to get it done. Like, I remember coming home one day, realizing it was Strawberry Day and wanting to draw something to commemorate that, and then within that same evening I was able to get this done in one sitting. So considering how quickly I was able to get it done, I'm very satisfied with how it turned out. I did use some 3D models to help me with the pose, which is kind of a blessing and a curse I've noticed, because on the one hand it does help me out with figuring things out in a 3D space and figuring out lighting and whatnot, but at the same time it does run the risk of my poses looking kind of stiff, and I think that's kind of the case here, and the length of her arms looks a little off to me, but overall I really like how it turned out. Like, the coloring could be a little bit more dynamic, like on her bell and on her skirt, but other than those two areas, I really like how it was rendered. I feel like I want to put this in either A tier or S tier. I think A tier is probably the best place for it, so we can put that there. Maybe I'll change my mind as we go through this, who knows. And as a counterpart to Strawberry Day, we have Shortcake Day, so naturally we have my fan art of Strawberry Shortcake, which went semi-viral when I posted the time-lapse for this on my shorts. It netted me 200 new subscribers within the span of 1 week. This one I didn't do 3D references for, and I think you can tell the anatomy seems a little different compared to the 𝚘𝚐𝚎 one that I did use references for. I don't know if that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. The difference is just very pronounced for me. Again, the pose is a little stiff. I guess this is just something that happens when I'm trying to draw something from scratch, and I'm either like not building good habits or I haven't done any warm-ups beforehand, but I don't like it as much as I do the 𝚘𝚎 piece. Something about it just feels a little rushed and not quite up to scratch with the quality that I try to strive for with my other fully rendered artwork, so I'll put her right here below 𝚘𝚎, and we'll see how she stacks up compared to the other art in this series. So those were the two main drawings that I did for January, and moving on to February, we have this little stress relief doodle that I did of Hifumi. What do you mean? He was the only proper illustration I did during the month of February. I do like how this turned out. It was another one that came together really quickly, but I do like the rendering for it, even though I did draw this in Procreate, and I feel like Clip Studio Paint is where I'm able to get my best work done. So considering the program that I was using, I feel like the rendering was as best as I was able to get it for, you know, a drawing that's as simple as this. It's not perfect. I think the ratio for his facial proportions is a little weird. Like, he doesn't really look like Hifumi. He looks more like Sakamoto from Sakamoto days. The details on his hands look a little strange to me. But I still really like this. It's very simple, so it's probably not going to go very high, but I think, I don't know, B is a good place for this Hifumi drawing. There we go. B for Buko. I debated whether or not I should include my character sheets for Jake and Noah, but I figured since I included my character artwork for my video game Ginjikas and my Spotify Ginjikas last year, I figured it made sense to include them here as well. So starting off with Jake, and for both of these characters I'm going to focus less on the rendering and more on the specific design because this is part of a character design exercise. I think as far as character design, I really like how he turned out. I really like his colors and how I was able to incorporate his unique dog features, like by giving him spots on his face, so it's more than just giving him like ears and a tail that are basically extensions of his natural hair color. Yeah, but with both him and Noah, who will be coming up right after him, I really want to include them in some kind of story somehow, or otherwise develop their narrative more, but I haven't figured out how to do that, which is kind of a shame because I really like these characters and I want to use them for something, but it's just a matter of what to use them for is the question. Yeah, even though I said that I was going to focus on the design, I'm still gonna rank them as far as the actual. I think I'll put this in B as well. With Jake was a little harder for me to come up with, and I feel like his design sheet came out a little bit rushed as well. It's not too bad, like in other artwork that I've done of him since then, and we'll get to that in a bit. I do like his design, so it's not just a matter of, oh, I don't like his design as much as I do Jake's design. I do like both of their designs, and I think Noah's absolutely adorable in his own way, but yeah, something about the way that his character sheet came together just didn't really, I don't know, something about it just doesn't really click with me, and maybe it's just because of the situation that I was in at the time where I was drawing out in public and I was feeling a little self-conscious, both about, you know, being spied on by other passersby and also being worried about my fickle iPad running out of battery. So I think all of those factors contributed to the state of mind that I was in and affected the outcome of this piece. So again, I'll put it right behind Jake. Everything is just kind of going in a very like specific order, like nothing has gotten out of order yet, but we'll see how that progresses as we keep moving onward. Okay, so we started with fan art, then we went to OC, so now we're going back to fan art again, this time starting with my Miku fan art that I drew for Miku Day in March. When I first finished this piece, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I really didn't like the rendering that I did on her hair, and her pose felt very flat, but the more time has passed, the more I've come to like this piece for what it is. And just like with Muichigo and Strawberry Shortcake, this is another one that I got done relatively quickly, so all things considered, I don't think it looks bad considering that I got it done in just a few short hours. Yeah, I really like the theme that I was able to choose for this piece. Like, I really wanted to do something with all of the retro diner merch collaborations that Miku has had over the years. The receipt detail makes me laugh though, because I wanted to incorporate something that had the numbers 3 and 9 in it, because obviously for Miku Day, but I had that be the price for the food that she's giving out, which honestly, considering the quantity of food that's there, that just seems like so expensive. Like, Miku's running a racket, man. Where do I want to put this? Do I actually like this as much as I do Hifumi? Because I don't see myself putting it in A tier, but I don't know if I like Hifumi more than this. Actually, yeah, I do like Hifumi more than this. I'm sorry, Miku. Moving on from that cute and upbeat Vocaloid fan art, now we have some inks, which comes in the form of my paper planes fan art that I did for Aya. I do really like the composition of this and how I was able to incorporate, you know, the themes of the song and the different lighting effects I'm really happy with as well. The thing that stands out to me the most though is the asymmetry that I did with the width of Len's arms. It's just one of them is significantly more muscular than the other, and I don't know how that happened. It's like he has anchor arms on only one arm. Kind of got a little bit experimental with the effects and the rendering, and I think it paid off, and I was able to learn some new things from this piece as well, which is always a good thing. You know what, I'm gonna put it in A tier, because I like this more than the Ichigo piece as well. Alright, moving on to more character designs, we have my series of turning obscure toys into magical girls, starting with the Betty Spaghetti themed magical girl. I still think she turns out absolutely adorable. Like, I really like the gimmick of the floating limbs and everything, and her cute little round face and eyes and her expression, and I like the swirly shape of her pigtails. I feel like I understood the assignment in terms of transforming this doll into a magical girl and having it still be recognizable. I'm going to put it in B tier because, yeah, I do like this more than I do Hifuri, but not quite to the same extent as I do the strawberry pieces and the Vocaloid pieces. Okay, so moving on, we have the little digital pet magical girl companions for turning 𝚘𝚒𝚘𝚘 into a magical girl adjacent character design. These are really simple designs, but I still really like how these turned out. It was a lot of fun to turn the piping effects on the console into details on their uniforms and figuring out how to incorporate the different color schemes with the dog 𝚘𝚑𝚘𝚘 and the cat 𝚘𝚑𝚘𝚘. I'll put it right next to the Betty Spaghetti piece. And moving on to the last piece of this series, we have the My Life magical girl design. I do feel like that her outfit is a little derivative of Pretty Cure and Corrector Yui characters, but other than that, the lore that I was able to think up for her was also really fun to conceptualize, so I'm overall happy with this design. Yeah, I do like it a little more than the little 𝚘𝚑𝚘𝚘𝚘, so I'll put her right next to Betty. Okay, so moving on to the little chibis of my OCs, Isabella and Sable, that I made for the back cover of the ash can of their comic. Even though this was just a little test print thing, I wanted to actually like put some effort and thought into how the full cover would look instead of just, you know, doing the bare minimum just to see if I had my DPI settings for the actual screen tone pages done correctly. Looking at this now, all I can think about is how much my rendering style has changed since I first created this. There's a lot of pillow shading going on here that I'm not super thrilled about. This was drawn before I was able to really settle on a style for drawing chibis that I really liked. It's not especially bad, it's not especially good, it's just kind of in the middle of the road for me, so I'll put it in C tier. And moving on to the front cover that I drew, this one was kind of interesting because I remember it was on April 1st. I literally remember finishing the final page of the comic, but then I realized, oh wait, the deadline for the final submission is on April 5th and I still have to draw the cover. Okay, crap. I wish I really wanted to get this done as quickly as possible because I was just so enthusiastic about, you know, finishing the story and moving it into my completed tab on my original story tracker page because this is the first time I had done that and I was so excited. So drawing the cover felt a little inconvenient for me, so I was trying to get it done as quickly as possible, even though I did get it done like 2 days before the deadline, so I had more time at my disposal to work on it. But I think the fact that I was kind of eager to just be like, alright, let's get it done and move on to something else, I think that really shows here because, yeah, the post looks kind of stiff, the colors are dull, the anatomy is just kind of driving me nuts, and the foreshortening on Sable's arm is just really, My mind immediately goes to that part of the cover. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't really look that great. Every once in a while I think about when I do print the collected edition of all the short stories that I want to make. I keep going back and forth as to whether or not I should redraw this cover because I'm not that big of a fan of it. The water effects too, like I think the water effects that I drew for the comic actually turned out way better than this because again I was so eager to get this done that I didn't bother looking up references, and yeah, it all just kind of comes together to make something that's kind of meh. So I'll put it in D tier. I wish I could put this higher, but I also wish that I could have done a better job on this cover because it was my very first completed story and it deserved to have a better cover. Okay, so now we're bouncing back into fan art after talking about OCs for a bit. We are moving on to my series of 6 drawings where I asked people online to send me 6 characters that they associated with me and I would draw them. So we are starting off with Byakuya and Ultimate Imposter. Not quite the horizontally challenged glasses wearing Danganronpa lad I was expecting other people to associate with me. Bruh! Honestly, that's not something to complain about because I love drawing Byakuya and I love drawing Spoiler-san too. And I think this particular chibi of him turned out really cute. Like this whole thing was just an excuse for me to practice drawing chibis. I think I was able to solve the problems that I had with my back cover drawing of Isabella and Sable, and I was able to finally settle on a style for drawing chibis that really worked for me here. I don't know where I want to put this exactly. Even if the art is simplistic, I still like how the final result turned out, and I think that's the metric that I should be grading this by. I want to put it at some point along with the Magical Girl King Jinkas, but I don't know if I like it more than Anna or Betty. Actually, let me put them in between. That just feels good. Moving on to Robobot Kirby, and yikes, even in chibi form, mechs are still not easy to draw. As we'll get into later on, I really don't like drawing a bunch of detailed geometric shape-based environments or props. Like, not necessarily because they're hard, it's just all of that precise detail for drawing mechs or drawing backgrounds, it just gets really tedious and really boring. So yeah, that's what I remember the most about this piece. Also trying to get it to fit on the canvas where you can still see all of the character, but I'll put it right here, just above Miku. Moving on to my Digi-Carrot TV, I forgot what her name was. Mike? Yeah. So these chibi drawings were done out of order. This was actually the very first one that I did. I think the last one that I did was actually the Byakuya and Ultimate Imposter one, and this one was the very first one. So I was still in that stage where I was kind of clumsily trying to figure out what chibis look like in my style, and I think it shows here because the proportions of this chibi for Mike are closer to the proportions for the Isabella and Sable chibis. I think I feel about them generally the same, but I think I might like this Digi-Carrot one slightly more, so I'll put it above Isabella and Sable. The next chibi on the list is Amu from Shugokira. I actually do have the Nendroid of Amu on my desk, and I used her as reference when I was drawing this, and I think it really shows because the proportions are a lot more Nendroid-like compared to the other chibis in this set. I think the proportions are really cute, and I kind of want to draw more Nendroid proportion style chibis like this, but the thing is it's not really my art style for chibis per se, so I don't know if that would be like a strange thing or not to do, but I think she might actually be my favorite out of all of them. Like, I just really like how the colors turned out. Also, Shugokira just has a very, very special place in my heart, so anytime I'm able to draw it in any form, I just feel really happy and nostalgic because this is the series that got me wanting to learn how to draw and make manga in the first place. So, yep, we'll put her right here. Actually, no, I'm gonna put her even higher. I'm gonna put her in A tier because I actually like her more than the Ichigo and Strawberry Shortcake ones. Moving on from Amu, we have Abby from Mindwave. I think you can kind of see a mix between the proportions for 𝚞𝚑𝚑 and the proportions for 𝚘𝚑𝚑 and Ultimate Imposter. That's something that I noticed. It's like kind of getting into that transition period, like, oh, okay, this is where I was starting out before I started this project, and these are the changes that I'm starting to make as I'm beginning to get more comfortable with this style. It was kind of a challenge to figure out the rendering because she's very pale and she has that white hair and her bunny accessories, like they're all white, so it was really hard to try and make all of that work. She just looks absolutely adorable. So I'll put her right here. Moving on to the last of this 6 chibi series, we have Ditto. The pose is a little funky, like if she was making that pose in real life she would not be able to stand up. I think I was trying to do like a little bit of foreshortening. I think I was trying to do like a little bit of a bird's eye view kind of thing, but it doesn't really look like that, so it just kind of looks kind of flat and wonky. Despite all of that, like I like the energy of it, and I do like the rendering that I was able to do as well. I really like how the different like color shifts on the hair, and I really like how the bread looks. The bread looks quite scrumptious. They're kind of on different levels of the B tier right now, but she's right next to Miku, and I think that's kind of funny. Moving on to my anti-AI toy box drawing of Isabella from 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚎. I do like the overall concept of this piece, and I definitely do want to make more illustrations in this toy box style, but I feel like the rendering came out a little eh. I feel like this turned out a little rushed at the same time because I think I was just pressed for a video idea, and so I was just trying to draw something that I could put together super quickly, like just talk about a topic that didn't require a whole lot of planning beforehand, and draw something kind of quick and simple but still look good. But yeah, and there's some details that I skimped out on because I was just really focused on getting it done. Like I wish I had added more texture indicating like a blister plastic packaging inside the box and the little plastic ties that are supposed to be keeping her secured inside the box. They just feel very flat and one-dimensional. I like it a little more than the front cover for the comic, so I'll put it right about there. Alright, there's some mermaid build-up here, so we're starting with this piece of nude lettuce and pie from Tokyo Mew Mew. Now, I debated whether or not I should actually include this in the interior list to begin with, because technically I started this illustration all the way back in 2024, and I didn't know if it counted to include it in a 2025 artist wrap-up tier list thing. All of the nouns, sure. I decided to include it anyway because I had only gotten as far as the sketch in 2024, and then when I picked it back up in 2025 I cleaned up that sketch, and then I added the line art and the colors and the rendering in the background and everything like that. So for all intents and purposes it's a 2025 illustration. I really like how this turned out. The only thing that I don't really like about it is some of the coloring on Lettuce's face. I feel like her mouth turned out too dark, and I don't like the color of the line art for her mouth. Like that's the only thing that really sticks out to me in a negative way. I also wish that her shoulders had some water droplets on them, like especially because I added like the trail of water on her tail. It just seems a little strange to me that all of the other parts of her body that are sticking out of the water are also dry. But I really like how this piece turned out, and the composition and the colors, and I really had a lot of fun with that background. Do I actually like it enough to put this in S tier? Yes, I think I do. Moving on to more Mermaid Magical Girl artwork, we have my artwork of the main Mermaid Melody trio. Yeah, I really love how this piece turned out too. I think for a time this is actually my favorite thing that I drew this year. I feel like the poses are a little flat, not necessarily like stiff per se because I can see a lot of movement, but I feel like they're not, they just feel a little two-dimensional. But other than that, like I really love the coloring. It's just so bright. I think I was able to fix some of the problems that I had with how I drew Mew Lettuce in this piece, and oh my gosh, all of the different textures and the long shiny hair. That was just, I had so much fun rendering this piece, and every once in a while I just pull back up to gaze at it and it just makes me smile. So yeah, it's going at the top of S tier. I really am happy with how this turned out. Moving on to my Meet the Artist that I did for my birthday. This is gonna be a little hard for me to talk about because I feel like most of the art that I made for this only takes up like a quarter of the actual canvas itself, and I think it's fine. Like the proportions of the face are a little off, and I feel like the arms are a little too long. I always feel weird about drawing my persona in full body, but for what it is, I think it turned out cute. I don't know how high I can put it, but I think top of C tier is a good place for it. Moving on to my series of OC illustrations for Pride Month, starting with 𝚤𝚘𝚎𝚑𝚕𝚔. I do really like this piece. It's my favorite out of all of the Pride Month pieces. I really like how the rendering turned out, especially on 𝚤𝚘𝚎. Cloud's face looks a little strange to me. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this piece other than that, so I think I'll put it right here, right above Amu. There we go. Alright, we have Isabella and Sable. I like this piece as well. I feel like the rendering on this is not as great for their hair especially, and also like on their clothes, like the gradient shifts that I added to their clothes. I think the rendering that I did on those areas are kind of struggling to keep up compared to the rendering that I did for the faces, and I don't really like how the hands turned out either. I will put it... I like Abby slightly more than this piece, I feel like. Okay, and now we have Jake and Noah. Again, the proportions came out a little odd, mostly with Noah's face, and after I finished this series of artwork, I kind of had a bit of an identity crisis in terms of how I do line art and hands, and we'll get to that in the next series of illustrations that I started putting out. Even though the proportions aren't the best, I do really like the colors on this piece. The way that they're interacting is really cute. I do like it more than the Isabella and Sable piece, and I also like it more than the Abby piece, but not as much as I do Byakuya. Okay, so by the time that I had finished that series of Pride Month artwork, like I alluded to earlier, I was really having an identity crisis with my art, specifically with my line work and with the way I drew hands. And so I knew that I really needed to go back to school, so to speak, and pick up some new tips and tricks on how other people do their line art and see if that could help me get out of this rut that I was in with my own artwork. And I really wanted to try and apply what I learned to what I would draw going forward, starting with this series of fan art that I did to celebrate Lucian Dodge's birthday, starting with 𝚤𝚘𝚑. What's really interesting about this series of artwork is that I drew 𝚤𝚘𝚑, 𝚤𝚘𝚒, and 𝚤𝚘𝚒𝚒. I drew these exact characters last year for Movember, and I think it's kind of interesting to see how much my art style and technical skills have changed since November of 2024 to June of 2025. And yeah, it really feels like a night and day difference. There's a lot more variability in my line art, and the coloring is a lot more dynamic, and yeah, it just feels like the 2024 artwork that I did of these characters just feels so clunky and chunky. Like basically everything that I said about my Clock Tower fan art of Scissorman and Dan that I drew last year, I feel like that can be said here. Although I don't hate my 2024 artwork of Hifumi, Kibo, and 𝚤𝚑 as much as I did my Clock Tower fan art from 2024. I guess the only thing that I don't like about this 𝚤𝚑 piece is that the way that I drew the side locks for his hair feels a little imbalanced, and his hand looks a little strange to me, but other than that, I really like how this turned out. I think it has to go in S tier. Moving on to 𝚤𝚑𝚒. Don't know if I have as much to say about this piece as I do the other ones, but something about this drawing just low-key triggers my cuteness aggression. Like I just want to pick him up and squeeze him gently like a stress ball. I don't have a whole lot of critiques about this piece because overall I really like how this turned out. I think it turned out really cute, and again, I love how the rendering turned out. I think I was so determined to combat the problems that I was having with my art in the past that I was really committed to improving, and I think you can really see that paying off with this series of artwork. I guess the only problems that I have with it are with the drawing tablet, because I feel like there should be like some kind of like cable coming out of it or something. Also the drawing pen as well. This isn't really anything related to how I drew it. It's more of an attention to detail kind of thing, because I ended up having Hifumi hold his pen in his left hand, even though he's canonically right-handed. But if I remember correctly, I'm 99% sure Lucian Dodge himself is left-handed. So it kind of works as far as a tribute illustration for his birthday, if I'm remembering that correctly. I actually like it slightly more than the 𝚘𝚎𝚒𝚘𝚘 one. So yeah, we'll stick him right up there. And lastly, we're going to Kibo. So this series of artwork is also really interesting for me because it was at this time that I had discovered my new rendering technique where I would block in the shapes for my shading using, oh no, not again, using the lasso tool feature, and then edge them out using the blur tool or the watercolor tool. That has significantly sped up my workflow, whereas before, if I wanted to get soft edged shading that wasn't cell shaded, I would go in directly with the watercolor brush itself. But it would take so much more extra time as I was trying to build up the opacity and then blend out the shapes and everything. I will say right now, the rendering on Kibo's armor makes me want to eat glass because it is so dang detailed. And when looking at his official artwork, there's not much distinction between, you know, his armor and the layers of fabric that are underneath his armor. And oh my gosh, it's an absolute nightmare. Like, I am so jealous of artists like Cheer Puppy and other artists who just draw Kibo all the time, because that is absolute commitment right there. I wish I could be that level of successful drawing Kibo. Even with all of that, I was able to finish the rendering for Kibo and Hifumi in the same day because of this new rendering technique. I am really proud of how the rendering on his armor turned out. The shine spots turned out a little strange to me, but overall, like, it really looks like metallic and shiny. I will say that the perspective of the collar looks a little off. Other than that, grabbing my attention in a negative way, I do really love how this turned out, so I will put it right here. 𝚘𝚎𝚒𝚘𝚘 has been turned into a Danganronpa sandwich. And rounding out this highly detailed, polished fan art for the Lucian Dodge birthday tribute, we have this very silly, slightly cursed sketch doodle. I was so torn on what magical girl I wanted Kibo to cosplay as. At first I was thinking of Corrector Yui, but then I realized, no wait, he's the Hope Robot! Of course he's gotta be dressed up as Madoka! The way that I drew 𝚘𝚎𝚒𝚒's face looks a little odd, and I think I made Hifumi's eyes like spaced way too far apart. Like, he looks like a rainbow trout. Even despite those issues, and despite the fact that it's like a very like loose and sketchy piece, it's still probably gonna go relatively high despite that. I think I'll put it right above J.K. Noah's character design. Ooh, okay, now this next drawing was originally going to be part of a series of drawings that was going to be created for a meme template that I had found online. It was like one of those templates where you draw your favorite character based on your current favorite, guilty favorite, your favorite by design, and your all-time favorite. And this drawing of Edward from Clock Tower was going to be part of this. He was going to go in the favorite character by plot category. Unfortunately, I only got as far as Edward because I had drawn this back in May, and it was around this time that I was still in the throes of my my identity crisis. I didn't have the spoons to do line art for this piece, so I did everything on one layer. It's still not that great. Again, this is my very first time drawing Edward, so I didn't know how to stylize him. Like, for some reason, his bangs are really hard for me to draw, and I'm gonna get back on this soapbox again later on because this is not the last time that I would draw him this year. For what it is, it's fine, and especially considering the state of mind that I was in, I think that's also worth taking into consideration. I kind of had it hovering around in this place because I didn't know where to put it, but actually I think this is a good place for it. Alright, speaking of Clock Tower fan art, we are moving on to 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑 and 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑. I feel like the energy of their poses is a lot of fun, and I feel like I really like the composition of how they look next to each other and everything. The only thing that I don't like is that the scissors in 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑's left hand, the finger guards are kind of warped, and I don't know how I made that mistake. Because I feel like I did a much better job on the scissors on the right hand compared to the left hands. Actually, I think do I like this more than my Paitatsu artwork? Because it's just a simple chibi drawing and this is so much more detailed. Actually, no, I like it slightly more than my Paper Planes artwork, so we can put it there. Alright, moving on to art fight season. Sadly, I only did 3 pieces for art fight this year. I had so many hopes and dreams for participating in art fight, but then stuff happened that really took the wind out of my sails, and then I got beaten down even more after I finished this piece because right when I went to upload it, the owner of the green Gorby alien character deleted the page for that character, so I immediately drew a character belonging to Unknown Spy in order to not have the drawing go to waste. I do really like how this piece turned out. There's some things that kind of stick out to me in a weird way. Like, I don't like the placement of the highlights and shadows on the main alien character's hair, and the eyelashes on the side of the eye that's winking looks strange compared to the eye that's open. Let's see, I will put this in... I want to put it in S tier, but I don't think I like it more than my Clock Tower and Danganronpa crossover artwork. Actually, microwave noises. I'll put it right here next to Paitatsu piece. I might change my mind. Who knows? Moving on from that group attack, we have another group attack of some very, very cute apple-themed characters. Just focusing on the piece itself, I really think the interaction between them is super duper cute. I really like their poses. I really like the rendering that I was able to do as well, especially for the Appleton Kinchinka on the left. Like, I really like how the little color diffusion turned out. I feel a lot less conflicted about putting this one above 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑 and Seal, so let's match that over. Moving on to my last piece of art fight attacks. I really, really like how this turned out. There are some things about this piece that I feel like I could have done better on. Like, for example, the rendering on the hoodie I feel like is a little meh. And even though the character's body is in a more dynamic pose, the way in which I position her hair just feels very flat in 2D. But other than that, I really like, you know, the rendering on the hair and just the rendering in general I really like. And her general body language and pose I think turned out really cute. I feel like I was able to make good use of the space on the canvas for this pose as well. This is actually my favorite out of all of the 3 pieces that I did for art fight this year. I think I like it more than Kibo, but not more than 𝚘𝚘𝚎. Oh boy! And now we're going to my Mewberry and Cream the Rabbit fan art for Bunny Day. Like I said for my previous piece, I was unhappy with how flat the hair looked, so for this piece in particular, I really wanted to make the hair look more three-dimensional, really make it look layered, and parts of it were moving in different directions in a 3D space for Barry specifically, and I think I was able to pull that off reasonably well. And for this piece I also really wanted to put a lot of extra attention to detail on coloring, and yeah, I think it really paid off here. I really, really love how the colors turned out, and Just like my Mermaid Melody artwork, I still like every once in a while just pull this back up just to like look at it because I'm just really impressed with how it turned out. I really love how dynamic the poses turned out. This took a lot of thumbnailing for me to figure out how I wanted the two of them to be interacting with each other in this little splash artwork, but I think it was worth it. The final result turned out really cute. Yeah, it's gonna go in the top of S tier. For the time, this was my favorite piece that I drew this year. Okay, so moving on to more character design artwork, we have my OCs from my video game concept, Buff Angel Buttercream. Starting with Buttercream herself, this was done intentionally, but you can see that her wings are always visible, even if her hair is in the way. When she's standing in front, you can still see her wings, and when you're looking at her from the back, you can still see her wings. That was just a little cheat that I did at the time, but now that I'm looking at it, I wish I hadn't done that. If I was doing this again, then I would make her wings larger so that they would be big enough to be visible from behind, even with her hair in the way. If I draw her again, which I'll have to do if I want to finalize this concept and turn it into an actual game, hint hint, that is something that I would adjust. I will put it right above Kirby Robobot. Napori-chan! Yeah, I really love how Napori-chan turned out. Like, I love his colors. I love how the bright yellows and orange in his eyes, and he's just so cute. I really want to draw him more. I love his design, and I want to draw him interacting more with Buttercream as well. Do I actually like this more than Buttercream, or do I just like the colors more? No, I'll put him right here. And Queen Verona's design, I'm still really proud of to this day. I think she still looks really like imposing and mysterious, but also very stern. And again, this is another character design where I was, you know, experimenting with something new and trying different things that I don't usually draw, and I think it paid off really well. Yeah, as far as all of the other characters for this lineup for this game concept, I think I actually like her more than Napori-chan and Buttercream, so she's gonna go right there. Okay, so this is kind of the exception to the no tier ranking comics rule that I made for myself at the beginning of the video, because it's just an experiment in redrawing a page of Fable Forest Bakery as part of a collaboration with my friend Latte Swirl. I really am happy with the result of my interpretation of this page. Like, I can't take credit for panel layout and everything like that because that was originally created by her, but even though I did take some creative liberties with this piece, I do like how the first panel with the food turned out, and I'm really happy with the toning effect. It's definitely going in S tier, and yeah, I think I like this more than the Paikatsu piece actually, so we can put it right there. Going with the trend of cute anthro characters, we have my Tokyo Mimi team starting with Mew Pizza. I do like this more than the strawberry shortcake piece, so I'll put her right there. And for Mew Ispahan, I'm not sure how much I can say about these characters for this tier ranking that I didn't already talk about in my video where I was drawing my Tokyo Mimi team. I feel like that voiceovers basically said everything that I wanted to, and my overall thoughts haven't changed that much. I feel about them generally the same, Mew Pizza, Mew Ispahan, and there are some parts of Mew Ispahan's sheet that I like more than Mew Pizza's, but there's some parts of Mew Pizza's that I like more than Mew Ispahan, so I think I like Mew Pizza slightly more, but they're pretty much equal in my opinion. Moving on to Mew Meringue. It was around here that I feel like I could have tried a little bit harder on the weapon designs. It's just something that I've been thinking about in the time since I first created these. I think I'll put her in B tier, like top of B tier. And Mew Plum is my favorite out of all of the girls. I was going to try and see if I could put these like right next to each other, but I think I actually like her a little more than my Mew Ichigo drawing that I did at the start of this year, so woohoo! And moving on to more anthro artwork, but this time more action-packed and with beautiful men instead of cute girls. So this is my art tray that I did for Hiko Yagami. This piece is kind of interesting because I started it in the first half of the year when I was still doing my old method of just doing the shading for fully rendered artwork directly with the watercolor brush. But then I kind of took a hiatus from this piece after a while because it was getting a little too tedious for me, and I think I had other pieces that I was working on at the time. And then when I picked it back up, it was at the time where I discovered my lasso tool and edging the hard shadows method, and I think I was able to match it up pretty well, but I can still see that there's some old coloring techniques in there that I wouldn't necessarily have stuck onto if I had, you know, colored this piece in the second half of the year. Specifically, the shading on his left sleeve I feel like is a little strange, like it's not very indicative of the lighting direction. Other than that, I really like the action and the energy of this piece and all of the effects. Like, when I look at this, like, it just gives me vibes of SSR artwork for a TCG, like a full art card basically, and I think that's everything that I could hope for. I think I'm going to put it right here because like some of the lighting effects things bring it down a couple notches for me, but it's still really high up in S tier, even if it's a little bit below like the girly magical girl stuff. Oh boy, it's time for the clock tower palooza. So starting with my initial fan art that I did to celebrate the 30-year anniversary itself. Yeah, I had so much fun experimenting with the lighting effects on this. I guess the only critiques that I have about this piece, because overall I am very proud of this piece, is that I wish I could have done a better job rendering Bobby's scissors. Like, the metallic effects feel very lackluster. Looking specifically at the effects on the spoke holding the garden shears together, it just feels like almost plasticky and not very like dimensional or everything. It just feels like kind of soft and squishy. And the colors feel a little muddy to me as well, but I don't know if that's a consequence of my skill or lack thereof at the time, or if this was due to me intentionally trying to go for a very specific lighting effect with this piece. So, and the initial base sketch that I did for this piece, the colors were a lot darker than this, so yeah, this is like super bright by comparison. Ooh, I am still very, very proud of this piece, even though I was trying a lot of different things and I was low-key a little crunched for time. I think I actually did the rendering for this the same day that it was supposed to go up on social media for the anniversary on September 14th, which is absolutely wild to think about. Boop, into S tier you go. You deserve it. Oh boy, and speaking of Clock Tower, we have a whole bunch of fan art for the Clocktober drawing challenge. So hold on, let me scrunch this over because this is out of order. There we go. Starting with day 1, which is for the prompt elevator. This piece, I really wanted to try and make a splash, no pun intended, because of all the blood, with, okay, this is going to be the precedent that I set for all the rest of my Clocktober piece going forward, so I gotta make this look good, make it count, make it look really professional and stuff. And there are some parts of it that I like I really like the framing and the composition of it, but some of the effects, like the shading effects that I did on Jennifer's skirt, looks a little strange, and also the toning effects on the blood, like the big puddle on the ground, like I kind of lightened it up a little bit so that you could see Bobby's face a little better, but it looks a little too illuminated. And yeah, the little splatters of blood next to her right shoe look a little unrealistic, so that kind of bothers me a bit. At first I didn't like the way Bobby honestly was the direction in which he was facing, because I wanted him to be like making direct eye contact with the person looking at the illustration, but you know, having his head like tilted up like this, it kind of makes sense if he was looking at Jennifer after he sliced her in half. Let's see, there are some things that I really like about this, but there are also some things that I feel like are really holding it back. So ranking this is going to be tricky because emotionally, I really like this, but cognitively, I feel like there's a lot that could be improved upon. Yeah, let's put it right here, top of B tier. Moving on to Clocktober Day 2, which is Scissors. I feel like I did a better job in terms of the toning effects on here. I feel like the recess of the bridge of Jennifer's nose is a little too severe. I don't really like the effect that I did with her hair highlights, and considering that the prompt for this day was scissors, I feel like the actual silhouettes of the scissors are a little small. I said this before, but I feel like I was starting to hit my stride a little bit better with the screen toning, and I really like how it turned out on the background in particular, and really especially with the silhouetted shadow of the scissors. So yeah, I like this more than some of the other pieces in A tier. I'll put it right above the Art Fight Apples. So day 1 is at the top of B tier, day 2 is at the top of A tier. So let's see how things shape up for day 3, which is Rain. Ooh, I really like how the effects on this turned out. There are some things that look a little strange to me, like for example the perspective of Lottie's body compared to Jennifer's body. I think Laura's arms are bent in kind of a weird way, and because I was trying to get lighting effects for the leather of Walter's doctor bag shimmering in the rain, it kind of makes the actual text a little hard to read. But other than that, man, I am so insanely proud of how this turned out. So yeah, you know what? Let's keep the trend going. Let's put day 3 at the top of S tier. Moving on to day 4, which is Pool. This one I like significantly less than the other pieces that I drew. Not just so far, but just like in general. I think this might actually be my least favorite piece that I drew for Clocktober, which is unfortunate because it was coming together so well in the sketch phase and in the line art phase too. But I think by the time I got to the part where I was doing the effects of the surface of the water, and then from then on added the toning, that's when things started to go downhill or go underwater, as the case may be. Because I think what happened was that the line art turned out too thick and stylized for the surface of the water, and the more patchy screen tone effects were definitely an intentional choice that I wanted to pursue for this piece, but I really don't think that they paid off here. And when I first added them, I'm like, oh, this doesn't look as good as I initially thought it would, but I just committed to it anyway, and I was like, maybe it'll look better in time. But no, it didn't look better in time, and it just looks really I should have just done more literal shading instead of trying to do something like artistic. I guess the blood effects look alright. Like, I like how it's like spreading out in the water, but oh my gosh. And the glass effects, I just, they really drag the piece down. Like, it just looks so tacked on, because I know what happened with this piece. I was working on day 3 and day 4 on the same day because I was starting to fall behind. Like, not even a week into the challenge and I was already falling behind. And so I was trying to pull double duty to catch up. And I think this resulted in me putting out a piece that I really liked, which was day 3, but day 4 ended up suffering because of it. So, I mean, it took me this long to get to this point in the video, but I think we may have our first contender for F tier, actually, and I feel really bad because Anna's one of my favorites of the Granite Girls. So, alright, moving on to day 5, which is Bugs. I really like the idea for this piece. I do feel like the background turned out a little plain. I feel like I was just cutting a few corners. I do like Mary's pose, but I do feel like her head came out a little too round and soft, like makes her look a lot younger than she's supposed to be. Overall, I think it's a nice piece, but the one thing that keeps distracting me is these two little maggots form the character, Sammy? Even though I listed a couple of things that I'm not super thrilled with this piece, I think that's just mostly nitpicking, and I do like how it looks for the most part. I will put it, I like it slightly more than day 1. I think day 1 and day 5 kind of balance each other out in terms of things I like and things that I don't like. Alright, moving on to day 6, which is parrots. Yeah, I think I did a better job drawing Mary here. And the parrot, I'm really proud of how the parrot turned out too, even though I'm really not used to drawing animals. I think the toning effects for it and just the way that I was able to get it to look like a realistic parrot turned out shockingly good. I kind of want to put it in S tier, but it's kind of a simplistic piece. Actually, you know what? I'll put it up here anyway. I don't care. Screw it. Okay, so going on to days. I'm losing track. Okay, day 7. Skeleton. And this is another one that I put out relatively late, but I'm kind of glad that I spent the extra time on it because this is one of the few pieces that I made where it actually ended up looking just like my mental image of what I wanted the piece to look like. There are a few mistakes with this piece. For example, the structure of Walter's body, or remains I should say, is a little too structured. I was following the references that I was using for posing a human, but the thing is that it's a skeleton, so I feel like the way that the fabric wraps around the body and the pressure that Jennifer is applying to his body as she's like lifting him up, I feel like that implies that there's like a human form inside it that shouldn't be there. Like, I made sure to make his sleeve look empty, but I wish I had paid more attention to like the rest of his body. And also, I don't like how I added a seam to Jennifer's sleeve without adding any sort of button to make the seam make more sense. And also, I cannot believe that I actually misspelled her name on the note. Like, that is, other than that, I really like how this piece turned out. Like I'm really happy with how the toning turned out and the effects. And moving on to day 8, which is Rage. I really wanted to push myself to draw much more contorted facial expression. I really wanted to draw something more dramatic and serious, and I think I actually did a pretty good job of that. There are a couple of very small nitpicks that I have. Like, I think the angle of Mary's hand compared to the angle of the knife that she's holding, I think those are kind of different planes of existence. I wish I could have drawn her hair down, like loosened from her bun and like flying around to show just her unbridled fury, basically. Because, I don't know, I feel like there's something like symbolic and narrative about her keeping her hair styled that way compared to just having it cut short. And I do feel like I made her irises a little too large. Like, I feel like I could have made them smaller and shown the whites of her eyes more in order to more adequately express her rage. But those are all like very minor things, and I still, oh my gosh, I'm very proud of this piece still. So yeah, this is gonna go in the top of S tier. Even though the composition isn't quite as involved as Rain, I still really love how this turned out. Moving on to day 9, which is Orphan. Of all the characters I could have drawn for this prompt, of course I go to Edward. This is another one of those expectations versus reality kind of pieces, because a lot of it had to do with one thing that was really making this difficult for me was that there was like a lot of dark tones that I had to try and properly balance for this illustration in order to make the values not completely suck. Because the smoke is dark, the freaking avocado water that's right outside the cradle under the star is dark. The chrysalis that Edward is in is dark, and now it's even darker because, you know, he kind of just got burned alive and everything. So there's a whole lot of darkness going on. I'm trying really hard to make all of that work, so it's just like a really careful balancing act, like, oh, I have to make this lighter, and then this over here, and this over there. It was just like really hard for me to like depict like different planes of space, so everything just kind of it looked a lot cooler in my head. Like I said in my redraw of Bobby and Dan, I really wanted to do all of my Clocktober artwork in color, and I think this is one piece that definitely would have benefited in color compared to black and white. Yeah, despite all of that, it's not enough for me to hate it necessarily, but yeah, it's definitely not up to scratch with what I wanted this to be, so actually, yeah, let's put it in C tier. C for Cradle Under the Star. Wow, we're already 1/3 through the Clocktober artwork? That's gnarly. Day 10, which is Shower. This is another one that I really like how this turned out. For most of my Clocktober artwork, with the exception of day 4, which I actively dislike, I feel like I'm generally really proud of all of the other artwork that I was able to make, and I do have varying degrees of feedback on things that I wish I could have changed or done better on, or mistakes that I'm noticing and things like that. And for this, I feel like, because I intentionally wanted to have the shower head obscuring where Laura's head would be, and I feel like because of that, the perspective makes it look like the shower head is not above the bathtub, it's like past the bathtub and over the floor. And I feel like some of the blood splatter effects on the curtains look a little phony. Yeah, I do like it. Not as much as the skeleton piece, but it's still really dark clothes. And day 11, which is Blood. This is a very simple piece. I think this is one of those pieces where if you didn't actually play the game, then you wouldn't really know the context behind this. I still really like how this turned out. I like this more than even the parrot piece and my alien piece, so yeah, I'll just put that right there. What day is this? I think this is day 12. Cradle, yeah, this is another one where I was really like fighting like the battle of the tone hierarchy, but I do think it's still like pretty readable. The values feel relatively balanced. I think I made Edward's head slightly too big, and it kind of bothers me how Dan's image on the curtain is slightly off-center. It wasn't that way originally, but as I was refining the sketch, it kind of ended up that way. The shading on Dan's face also make the fleshy exterior of the chrysalis look kind of flaky, and I'm not a big fan of that. Other than that, I really like how this turned out. I think the shading that I did on Edward's coat looks really good, and I really like how the hands turned out. I think I'm going to put it like near the top of S tier. I'm conflicted about whether or not I like it more than day 8, because I really do like how that one turned out. So this one was Hide, yeah. I think compared to the previous illustration, I think I did a little bit of a better job with the rendering on Dan. And again, the value hierarchy is coming in full force here, but again, I think I was able to do a better job of pulling it off. Like you can see the background is all shadowed, and Jennifer is all shadowed, and like the Cradle Under the Star and Dan are more illuminated. I really like all of the different effects that are going on here, and this was in general was a really fun piece to work on. It is kind of a simple piece, but I still really like it, and I like the message that it conveys too. So I don't like it more than Parrot, but I do like it more than Scissors, so let me just swap those up really quick. Okay, so this one is Mother. The rendering for the caves was pretty fun to do. I don't know if it turned out super well, but doing the lighting on the hollows of the cave and the cross-hatching on the stalactites. And I was trying really hard to like push the perspective of this, like making the line art thicker in the areas that are closer to the foreground, and I don't know if that paid off super well. I don't know if that makes it too flat or not. And also, I originally intended on drawing dead bodies from scratch for the foreground. When I was working on this, I was running dangerously low on time, so I'm like, oh, I have a pre-downloaded Clip Studio Paint background pattern that has a bunch of piles of dead bodies, so I'll just take one and cut out the background and bam, we're good to go. I did like how that looked, but I wish I could have put a little bit more detail on that figure, because they're just kind of like a random like generic bald person, like DeviantArt based looking thing. I do think that the angle at which Bobby is holding his scissors looks a little strange, and I feel like I could have done a better job on the shading for Dan's face. I don't think it's the execution really solidified, so I'm gonna put this at the top of C tier. That seems like a good place for it. I think the prop name for this one is Cave, because I drew the cave last time, even though the prop name for that one was Mother. Yeah, this is the first piece that I did all of the line art for using the lasso fill tool, and y'all, that went by super duper quickly. Like, I was so pressed for time when I was working on this, and that just absolutely saved my life. I feel like Mary's hands looks a little off, and I tried to indicate the bottom half of her hair bun on the left side of her face, but it just kind of looks like one of her earrings is like really low down on her face, so that looks a little strange. I feel like I could have done a better job figuring out a light direction for the shadows on her robes. Other than that, I do like the composition, even though I do wish there was a little bit more depth and distance, but it's just another one of those expectation versus reality kind of situations. Although I don't hate it, I just feel like it's adequate. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just it gets the job done. I'm feeling like it should go slightly below Abby. Alright, and Bells, I do really like the composition of this piece, and I really like how the shading on the clock tower gears looks, but I really don't like the way that I did the highlights on Jennifer's hair. Laura feels a little flat and squished, and I don't think I did a good job conveying the depth of the composition. Like, everything just looks like it's on the same plane, and it looks kind of flat. Despite that, I do still like this piece overall, and I think I'll put it... I think I like it slightly more than the elevator piece. This next piece over here, which is Secret, because I was so disappointed with how Jennifer's hair turned out in the previous piece, I wanted to try and fix that mistake the next time I drew her, and I really love how her hair turned out here. And I really like how the background turned out, although as I was reworking the shadow outline for where the light of the entranceway for the door hits the rest of the room, it kind of doesn't match up with the perspective of the floorboards. This is so weird because I like this more than the blood picture, but I don't like it as much as the parrot picture, so I don't know where to put it exactly. Actually, JK, I like it than this piece. So yeah, let me just stick it right there. Alright, I believe this one is Crow. This is another expectations versus reality one where I was dangerously low on time, and I was pulling out every shortcut I had in order to get it done in time, and I did get it done on time, but at what cost? The crows like really bother me the most. Like, I really wanted to make it look like an entire like swarm of crows was coming after Mary, but I was only able to get 2, And even then, the crow on the bottom is a copy and paste of the one on the top. Yeah, I mean, I do really like the toning effects on the perspective of this composition. It kind of like sucks me in emotionally. Like I really feel like I'm plummeting down off the side of the platform with her, which is an emotion I don't get very often when I'm looking at my own artwork. So I guess that counts for something, but this could have been something a lot cooler than it ended up being. So I do like this more than Queen Verona, but not quite as much as 𝚖𝚒𝚒. There we go. This is another one where I was having a really... Are you sensing a pattern here where I'm complaining a lot about me trying to convey a sense of depth with my compositions and then not being able to do that? Maybe that's something I need to work on in the next year for my artwork going forward. If I had a larger canvas or one that was like a different orientation, then I probably would have been able to do a better job of conveying the depth that I wanted, because I really wanted to have like this long sprawling land of like this autumny Norwegian rural countryside, and you're like surrounded by nature, and then you see the Barrows Manor in the distance. Yeah, I wasn't able to pull that off with the canvas orientation that I had here, and again, this was extremely rushed, but I did the best with what I had. I do like how I was able to draw everybody's walking poses. Except for Jennifer's, I feel like the way Lottie is overlapping with Jennifer's legs, it kind of makes her walking pose look a little strange. I forgot to add Mary's purse too. I tried to add like a fog or a mist effect to the background, but I wasn't getting the effect that I wanted. So yeah, this is another like one that's just kind of meh. I do like it a little bit more than the orphan piece. Yeah, I like the Isabella and Sable GB's more than that one too. Okay, I think we're starting to make a little bit of a turnaround here with day 20 car. Haha, I remember the numbers of days this time. Yeah, I really like how this piece turned out. There are a couple of nitpicks that I have with it. Like, I wish I had made Bobby's hair a little more disheveled. I feel like the way that he's holding his scissors is a little strange. And I really tried to put a lot of attention to detail into the cast shadow from the passenger seat of the car on his hair and his face, but I didn't put as much attention to detail as to what kind of shadows would be cast on his coat. Yeah, other than that, I really liked the shading that I was able to do with the interior of the car itself, and like the shininess of the seatbelt and the scuffed surface of the scissor blades. Like, I love it so much. I don't like it as much as Skeleton, but I do like it more than Shower, so we'll just slap that right there. And day 21, which is Cage. This is another one that was kind of expectations versus reality-ish. I feel like with the bars of the cage, it's a little hard to see what exactly is going on. I did draw the crow inside the cage from scratch, and the one that's like flying outside of the cage has been freed. I did use a Clip Studio Paint asset for that, and I wish I could have gone back and added a little bit more toning and rendering and stuff to make it match better with the crow that's in the cage, because it just feels like stuck on like clip art basically. I think I like this more than Orphan, and I do like this more than Cave. There's a lot in the B tier right now. Can we have this tier list be a little bit more evenly distributed, s'il vous plaît? Okay, and Clock. I could not decide on a consistent size to drop Mary's earrings in, and here they look absolutely huge. And also, I don't know what I was thinking, but I drew the hands before I drew the clock hands, and it should have been the other way around, because when I was drawing the clock hands, I was trying to finagle it to make it fit with the hands that I'd already drawn, because I didn't want to redraw them. And so that kind of creates this awkward, like, she's holding one of the clock hands in between her fingers. I don't like looking at this piece too much because of that, because I know I could have done better on it, but it's still good. It's just not as good as I wish it was, so I'll just sneak it right here. And oh boy! Halls, also known as my H.R. Geiger tribute piece. Y'all, this one almost made me crash out. You want to talk about the existential crisis that I had just with my line art and how I drew hands. This one, oh my gosh, I almost didn't want to post the time lapse for this altogether, because I think this was after the Friends piece down here. Friends, the ones that get sacrificed to homicidal demon twins. Yeah, I kind of took a long hiatus from Clocktober because I was juggling too many things at once and I was falling behind and I basically just burnt out temporarily, and this is one of the first pieces that I ended up finishing, and I was kind of dreading it because I knew that it was going to be really detailed and I didn't have a whole lot of energy to work on it. And because of that lack of energy, I didn't have enough spoons to freehand all of the characters, so 3D models from Clip Studio Paint came to the rescue, and because of that and the fact that I used the original lithograph that I was taking inspiration from this composition, I was extremely terrified that people were going to say many unkind things to me in the comments of that time lapse. All things considered, I do like how this turned out. Like, I really like the toning effects that I was able to do on the background. I do feel like I could have done a better job with Bobby's poses. Like, I feel like Jennifer's poses turned out good, but I feel like Bobby is a little harder to make out compared to everything else that's going on in the piece, and also the way that the handles for his scissors in the top piece where he and Jennifer are struggling against each other, they're like really like askew, and I really don't like it. I think people who saw it did like it, but I'm just, yeah, for me personally, like, it leaves a lot to be desired. I don't hate it, but it's just mid. I feel like all the complaining I did should put it in C tier or D tier, but no, I feel like it's safe to go in B tier. Yeah, I'll put it here. Okay, this one was fun to work on. I do really like the composition of this, and the lighting effects look really cool. Here in this piece specifically, I drew Jennifer's eyes in a specific way to show the fact that she's like right next to the candelabra that she's about to toss the kerosene onto, and so I really wanted to have that be reflected in how shiny her eyes were. Yeah, this is one that I really like. It's definitely going in S tier, but man, how far up I want to put it in S tier is the question. I think, do I actually like it more than the Rage piece? I think I might actually, yeah. Yeah, okay. This is another one where I really wanted to push the composition a little more in order to convey like a sense of depth. I also wanted to do some lighting effects of having the shadows of the bars of the cage like cast on the floor and across his body, but again, with the values of the piece, it was making it really hard to see anything that was happening, so I unfortunately have to leave that out, but I still really like how this turned out. There was an embarrassing mistake that I made when I first posted this onto social media. I actually still had the original sketch layer for this visible, so if you look really closely at the floor underneath Simon, you could see like the blue lines of my sketch, so I don't know how I missed that until like several days after I originally posted it. I guess that just shows the kind of state that I was in when I was working on this, where I'm just like, I need to work and I'm tired, let's just get it up, and yeah. I like it more than Shower, but not as much as I do Car. Okay, so for this one, Piano, I really like how I was able to do the shading on the piano. Like, please ignore the fact that the layout of the room looks absolutely nothing like how it does in the game itself. So this is another one that I like a whole lot. I think, yeah, I do like it more than Secret, but not as much as the other pieces. This one has an interesting story to it. So even though this was day 27? Yes, day 27. This was actually the last piece that I completed, because by the time I started picking up October after coming back from my unplanned hiatus, I was trying to tackle the rest of the pieces from both sides. So on one day I would try to draw like day 21. After I finished that, I would draw day 31, and then I would draw day 22, and then I would draw day 30 and do that. So the way things worked out, this ended up being the last piece that I drew. I do wish, like, because the prompt name for this one was Idol, and I wish that, because she's supposed to be holding the Demon Idol statue, but I feel like it's so like small and hidden in shadows that it's kind of hard to tell what it is she's actually holding. I do really like the stained glass effect that I was able to draw for Bobby and Dan. Trying to draw that style was a lot of fun. The reflection of the lighting effects on the cast on the floor from the stained glass window was actually not in the correct order. It was actually mirrored, so if you saw it, no you didn't. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces that I did. Yeah, I like it more than Cradle. Now we are heading over to the prompt for dolls, and oh man, the composition for this was a nightmare. The toning for this is also not my best work either. I feel like the toning for the background and for Dan, they're both like a little... Other than the toning, I do really like the line art of this piece and the message behind it. I think I do like it more than Secret and the Pai-Tatsu piece. Moving on to Flesh. This is another one where I feel like the screen toning needed some TLC, because there are some other like nitpicks that I have with this piece. Like I feel like Bobby and Dan's poses are a little stiff as well. This is really like not so much a good or bad thing, just something that I could have kept in mind in order to make this piece more impactful, is that I don't know how much it matters to anybody, but in my mind when I drew this piece, Bobby is on the left and Dan is on the right. So Dan is the one biting off Walter's thumb, and I wish that I had twisted his thumb so like the bottom of it is facing upward a little more, to be like, ah, it's not supposed to be in that position, stop, 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 stop. And I wish I had done a little bit more detail on the muscles underneath the skin as well, but ooh, this this is a lot of fun to draw. Yeah, I like it more than Shower, but not as much as Alone. Okay, we are down to the last two. Wowee. So this one is Ritual, and this is another one that feels very expectations versus reality. Like the rendering of this feels super flat. Like part of that was by design. Like for example, I didn't want to add any shading to Mary and Jennifer and Bobby. If I added too much like screen tone to them, it would have made it harder for them to stand out against like the darkness of the background. Some of that was just because I was rushed, so like the hatching effects, the brick effects, it all just feels super flat, and the clock face is also very like, is as simplified as modern company logos. I think this might be another F tier one. The idea is there, but the execution of it is... I'm sorry. Alright, and moving on to the last Clocktober piece, which is Occult. Yeah, I really, really like how the effects on this turned out. I do have a little few very oddly specific nitpicks with it. Like I wish that we could see more light being illuminated on Jennifer's right arm. I don't like how the nail on her left thumb is longer than on her right thumb, but other than that, I really like how this piece turned out. I love the effects of it, and I really like the lighting. And I feel like compared to other pieces where like the background elements were kind of meh, like specifically with the last piece with the how the background wall looked behind the clock, I feel like this actually looks pretty good actually, if I do say so myself. Yeah, I was going to put it above Idol, but no, I'll put it right below Idol. Okay, and moving on from that endless stream of nightmare fuel and man-made horrors beyond human comprehension, we're going on to my hypothetical OC collaboration between the Cage Underworld and Sanrio. Yeah, this piece just ended up turning out super cute. I think I feel about all of these pieces the same way. I feel like they're all like pretty consistent in terms of quality, so ranking them is going to be kind of interesting. Yeah, I think I'm going to put Weltram and Marumo Fubiyori in A tier. Yeah, because Weltram is the only character who doesn't have hair highlights. Everybody else is going to look a lot more vibrant in comparison to him. Yeah, I think I feel about all of these like generally equally, so I don't think I have as much to say about them that I didn't already say in the original video where I did my artwork of them. I will say I think I might knock down Sturmenfrau and Kuromi a little bit, because I feel like the positioning of Sturmenfrau's earrings on Kuromi's ears is a little weird. I guess same for this one as well, because I feel like the way I drew Bopin's face and Hung Gildan's skills on him also looks a little off. Kotori and Little Twin Stars. Please unfreeze. Please, browser, I'm begging you. There we go. Yeah, this is another one where I feel like her hair turned out really flat. She goes slightly below 𝚘𝚑𝚒. So Morgan can go below Strawberry Shortcake. Noct can go slightly above Morgan. Actually, no, she can. I like her more than Weltron and Cloud's pieces, so she can go up here. Ratten can go up there too. I think trying to put 92 images into your maker was a bad idea. Oh, I like him a little more than 𝚘𝚑𝚒. Donner is always a favorite whenever I draw him. I always really like drawing Donner. Schnee and my melody. I feel like the way that my melody's arm interacts with the capelet she's wearing, it looks a little... I could have done better on that. Like, I put it slightly above Kotori. Lastly, Sterdenclans and Chaco. I feel like I could have done a little bit better on the line width for certain areas. Put it a little bit below Donner. And so, yeah, even though I was working on these at the same time that I was working on my first half of Clocktober artwork, I decided I wanted to put these in order of when I first started working on them. So I first started working on Clocktober, and I wanted to keep all of them in the same uninterrupted line. And then after I started working on Clocktober, I started working on the Cage Underworld Sanrio collab, so I wanted to have all of that in a one uninterrupted line. And then after I worked on the Sanrio collab, I made this artwork for Clock Tower Rewind's 1 year anniversary. I knew I really wanted to draw a crossover between 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 and 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘, of course, because the whole idea for this piece was half genie hero paired with half demon villain. I had to draw 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 based how she appeared in half genie hero. I was kind of stuck for a while trying to think about what kind of pose I wanted to draw them in, because I didn't want it to be accidentally too similar to the artwork that I did of 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 and Genocider. But then I was remembering, oh yeah, that's right, the whole thing with 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 is that she does magical dances, and Bobby does that little dance after he knocks over Jennifer if you lose a panic event with him. So yeah, that was the perfect way to have them interacting with each other. And it's a little silly, it's slightly cursed, but I think it's so cute at the same time. It's so goofy. Yeah, this is also the same day that we got that announcement for the new 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 game that's coming out in the future, so I guess it also doubles both as a celebration for Clock Tower Rewind's 1 year anniversary and a hype post for the new 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 game. It's like a quick and simple drawing. It's not anything special, but I still think it turned out nice. Yeah, I like it more than the Strawberry Shortcake piece, so I'll put it right up there. Whoa, we are down to our last 3 pieces already. Like, alright, we're wrapping up now. Let's go home. Yeah, this is some more screen tone practice, like proper screen tone practice this time, because I'm drawing something well within my comfort zone. It also counted as a test for the first drawing that I did on my new laptop, because I finally got a 2-in-1 pen-enabled laptop. This was the first drawing I did of that, and it was of Edward. I do really like how this turned out, but there are a couple of things that I wish I could have improved on. Like, I kind of think I could have changed the position of his right forearm compared to his right upper arm. I feel like I didn't do a good job settling on a lighting source for the shadows that are being cast on his coat. And this is something that I noticed with this piece much later on. It didn't occur to me until like a month after I had originally posted this piece, and I noticed this when I did my artwork for National Twin Day with Edward and you, is that I cannot for the life of me draw this kid's hair correctly, because the first time I drew it, it kind of looked like we have Jadeite from Sailor Moon at home. The second time I drew him for the anniversary piece, he had like a, I don't know, like the metallic hair antenna thing. And now for this series of artwork, both for this one and the National Twin Day artwork, I got the shape of the bangs mostly right, but I got the part of his bangs wrong. Like, it's a side part, not a center part. And he's my favorite character, so of course I'm going to be irrationally angry at myself if I find out that I've been doing him wrong. The bangs thing like really irritates me, but I do really like this piece. I think it was good practice, and yeah, it gives me more of an excuse to practice again, not just for drawing manga screen tone, but also for drawing Edward, so I can finally figure out how to draw this stupid kid's hair correctly. There we go. You are one with the mermaids now, Edward. Alright, scrolling back down to my redraw of my artwork of Bobby and Dan that I put at D tier last year, and this version has definitely gotten a lot higher than D tier. I don't think there's anything I can say about this piece that I didn't already say in my original voiceover. I think if you look really closely at this piece, you can see a lot of influence from classic Goosebumps covers, like specifically the Curse of Camp Cold Lake and the blob that ate everyone. Now that you have that knowledge, you'll probably be able to notice that like every time you look at this piece, because I definitely see the influence, but again, I am still absolutely amazed that this is actually something that I drew. So much so, in fact, that it is my favorite illustration out of everything I drew this year. So you are going right at the top of S tier. You deserved it. You have emerged from your chrysalis of mediocre rushed art and emerged as hideous, horrifying eldritch abominations. Alright, and moving on to the very last artwork that I drew for this year. Please, no. Yeah, quite a departure from horror artwork. We have some cute, wholesome, pretty Christmas artwork, which is fan art for my friend's mascot horror game concept, Bowie's Parlor. Stop! I really want to draw more fan art of my friend Zosie's in the coming years. Yeah, this is another piece that came together really quickly. I feel like I took a lot of shortcuts with the rendering, but they're not too noticeable. I do feel like I got a little too crazy with the soft diffusing effects on like the face and everything, to the point where it's a little hard to make out her facial features. Overall, I really like the rendering that I was able to do. I really like the texture on the gingerbread and the frosting. Yeah, this is another one of those pieces where I had a very specific idea of how I wanted it to look, and I feel like I was able to meet that expectation. Again, this was a relatively rushed illustration that I took a lot of shortcuts on, so for me to still like how it turned out despite that, I think that's quite praiseworthy. Okay, I know I like it more than Edeo, but do I like it more than Edward, or do I only like Edward because I'm biased? I'll just put them right. I feel like even without the Blorbo bias, I feel like I do like this piece just slightly under this one. So hey guys, Editing L here, sliding this voiceover in at the last minute because I realized I had completely forgotten about my Hatsune Miku illustration that I did this year. I drew this after I had done the Give Me 6 Characters You Associate With Me challenge, and before I did my Isabella No AI doll packaging trend thing. I think what happened was that I drew this in Procreate and I glazed it directly from Procreate using the web app, but I didn't save the glazed version onto my computer, so I didn't see it there until I'm going through all of this and realizing, oh wait, there was another Vocaloid fan art piece that I did and I completely missed it. So I'm going to just quickly insert in here what I think about the overall piece and where I would rank it. Similar to what I said about the Hifumi piece, I'm really happy with how the rendering turned out, even though, like I said, I drew this in Procreate, so I feel like compared to Clip Studio Paint, where I'm able to get my best work done, I am very happy with how the rendering turned out. I really like her pose, I really like the depth and movement of it. The tilt of her face looks a little strange to me, like her nose is a little too sideways and her eyes are different sizes, and I do wish that I added a little more detail and dimension to the inside of the Happy Meal box, but other than that, I really love how this piece turned out. And as for where I would put it in the tier ranking, I would actually put it in S tier. I would put it above my Clocktober illustration for Blood and below my Paitatsu piece. While I'm here, I guess I can also talk about my webcomic icon for 𝚘𝚘𝚎𝚑. I don't know how much it counts because I just drew it specifically for the purpose of making it into a webcomic icon and also for a YouTube video. And I guess since I'm doing this tier ranking video for YouTube, I might as well talk about this art that I created for a YouTube video. Yeah, I really like how the rendering on this turned out too, like especially with how Sable turned out. Isabella came out Alright. I do like how the rendering turned out, but I feel like her face is either too narrow from top to bottom or too long, I guess. Where to put it is the question. I think I would also put it in S tier, above my initial Clock Tower 30th anniversary fan art and below my EDO art trade artwork. And hey, speaking of webcomic covers, I might as well talk about the one that I made for This Is a Thing That Happened as well. I don't really have anything special to say about it. And for ranking, I think I'd put it at the bottom of D tier. Okay, I think that's everything. Alright, going back to the outro. That completes my tier ranking for artwork that I created for this year. And again, this is just the bare minimum of everything that I was able to draw. I was really in a form this year, and by golly does it show. Now that we have mercifully reached the end of this very long video that has caused my browser to crash I don't know how many times, it is time for me to shut this video down. Make sure to give Boba Cat some pats, snacks, and playtime before you log out, and head to the description of this video to find links for every other corner of cyberspace I'm on. As always, thanks for letting me chat with you, and until next time,
Happy New Year!